I sometimes wonder if people really do stop and think about what they believe. Take the Christian story of Jesus and the crucifixion and how his appalling death, if it was true of course, was supposed to pay for the sins of all of us. Now, imagine a human being that required such a thing as punishment, that required an absolutely appalling, wicked death as recompense for a wrong that they had done to them. What would we think of that person? Well, exactly. I think we'd think they were very wicked. In fact, I'm quite certain we would think that they were very disturbed. And I have never been able to accept the Jesus story, not even when I was a boy, and having it rammed down my throat and being told that I was evil and demon-possessed because I questioned the veracity of this story. Not that I knew such posh words then, I'm not even sure that I know what it means now, but I think I used it correctly. You see, if God is God, if there is such a thing as God, and God is all-powerful, and God knows everything, and God is perfect, then how could God possibly hold any resentment? That's a very human negativity. It's us that hold resentment against people. It's us that feel we need some sort of recompense in order to forgive people. It's we who dismiss people as worthless and no good. And it's we that demand so-called justice when what we really mean is revenge. Because of course there can never be justice. The people clamour for justice, and yet what they don't understand is that no one can feel what we feel. It's as simple as that. I mean, those of you who know me know that I was sexually abused as a child, and I was physically abused, and I spent much of my childhood in terror. There would be absolutely no point at all in doing any of that to my father, or to the teacher who was a child pornographer and who did what child pornographers do to me, because they aren't me, and they would react in a completely different way, and they would feel completely different. It may not have destroyed their lives like it destroyed mine. For a time. I mean, I've overcome it, and, you know, I have a wonderful life now. I have a very good life. But, you know, what we really want is for people to understand how we feel. I know that when I was a boy, I felt so alone. And I just, you know, all this stuff was going on, and it was going on in secret. And I wanted people to know. I desperately wanted attention. And I did things to get that attention. You know, at first I played the clown. And yes, there are people who would remember me from my childhood and just would flatly refuse to believe that anything was going on, because I was a cheeky little devil who was a lot of fun. But those same people would say that I never had any malice in me, and I didn't. I never bullied. I did used to attack my younger brother. He's 2.5 years younger than me, because he used to continually tell me that I was of the devil and possessed by demons and God hated me. And of course by that stage I was completely disturbed, and I was a very disturbed individual. I was cutting myself, and I was starving myself, and I was constantly hungry, and, you know, taking 30 laxatives a day, plus taking all sorts of psychiatric drugs, and I had him convincing me that I was possessed by demons, and he wonders why I used to get angry with him and hit him. All very regretful, of course, but it's what happened. Anyway, I sort of got off the track, haven't I? But Anyway, going back to this business, and people like to go on about the suffering of Jesus. Well, excuse me, but at least from the story we've told, and whether this man even existed, we've no idea. But anyway, the story goes, well, he had really good parents, didn't he? And they loved him. They didn't abuse him. They didn't make him feel like shit. They never told him he was stupid. They never told him that he was going to get given away if he didn't behave and sent to a children's home or to a borstal or anything like that. No, he had very good parents. And right up until 33, he had a hunky-dory life. He went round preaching and never got into any bother until the very end. And then he was publicly flogged in a most horrendous way and then crucified in a most horrendous way. And that was the end of that. And it was all over very quickly. Now compare that to a child who is repeatedly raped, repeatedly beaten, or somebody who spent years in a concentration camp only to be burned alive in an oven at the end of it. Or think of those tortured by the Spanish Religious Inquisition and then burned at the stake. It really makes me bloody fucking angry when people dare to suggest that Jesus suffered more than we did. Because he didn't. It's as simple as that. And the very idea that he took the weight of all our sin upon his shoulders in order to appease God, that is just sick. It's just so sick. I find it unimaginable, really, that an intelligent person could even begin to believe it. It's patently not true, because, listen to here, those of you that believe it, you're not free from the consequences of your sin, are you? Because if you were, you'd be happy. You'd be completely happy. Nothing would ever go wrong in your life, because whatever you did, you would not suffer the consequences of it. And that's clearly bollocks. And they say that the wages of sin are death. Well, I don't know any Jesus freaks who don't die. You all die, no matter what. The wages of sin is death. Well, every single person on this planet dies, regardless of how they say they believe in Jesus and that he died for their sins. What bollocks. I'm sorry, but it is. God does not need appeasing. God loves you just as you are, and it's about time you realise that. There's nothing that you can do that could possibly offend God. God doesn't hold resentments. People do. We've made God in our image, not the other way around. The God that we believe in is of our own invention. The God is worse than Gaddafi, is worse than Stalin, is worse than Hitler. That's what we've invented, a monster. And we spend our lives frightened or condemning and judging other people because we can't live with uncertainty, so we have to invent a story to believe in. Now, I'm not really into religion at all. I do believe that our consciousness survives death, and I don't believe we have anything to fear about that at all. And if I'm wrong, well, I'm wrong, and we certainly have nothing to fear, because that will mean that when we're dead, we're dead. Well, I just don't believe that, and I don't believe it based on evidence, and I'm no fool. I've studied this for well over 30 years, and so is my partner John. And whilst I am not educated, I left school at 15, and that was that. He's got a couple of degrees and studied for a doctorship, which a PhD thing, which he finally gave up on, but only because of the lack of time, and I suppose he thought it was a bit pointless. But what I mean, all I'm trying to say is that he's an academic and he's intelligent and he believes as I do. He's made the same studies as I do, and he also believes that consciousness survives death. But that doesn't mean I know anything. I don't know why we're here. I don't know why you're here. And I don't even know if there is or isn't a God. I tend very much towards the scientific for explanations about how the world works, but they don't explain how the world got here, and I'm sorry, but I don't really find it very satisfactory. They're explanations of how we developed into us either. However, that does not mean I believe that there was a God that waved a magic wand and made us in 6 days, or whatever. That is just not an alternative explanation. That's a fairy tale. It's a childish thing to believe. Do you know what? I can't remember what the bloody point of all this was. I was about to go to bed, or rather stick my headphones on, listen to some music and relax. Do you know, all the lights are off, and yet it seems that you can see me really quite well in this video. And but anyhow, it just brings so much sadness and strife into the world that people believe in a God that they must appease. You know, it's no different to a volcano god and chucking people down into the volcano in order to appease the volcano. You know, the Christian thing is just the same. It's just done in a posher way, a more sophisticated way, but it's basically the same thing. And you make other people suffer for it because you can't live with uncertainty, or because you have been convinced that you are bad. If God made us, we're not bad. And all this, I mean, God must have created evil as well, because he created Satan. I mean, that whole story is crap too. It has to be. It just makes no sense whatsoever. I do wish people would just stop thinking that they were awful. I really don't understand these Christians that believe that we are so fallen that we deserve punishment, but God in his good grace through the death of his son Jesus Christ has decided not to torture us and punish us. For what? Life is fucking hard. It is really hard. Is it any wonder we make mistakes? It's full of fear. It's full of pain. There's also joy. But mostly it's struggle. Not just for me, but for everybody. You know, and then people go on about how, you know, we should praise God for the abundance of goodness. Well, try saying that to the poor African children that are starving to death. Try saying that to the millions of Africans that have AIDS and are dying of AIDS because their fucking religion has told them that they can't use condoms. Oh, dear me. No. You know, there isn't... That doesn't work. It really doesn't work. You know, speaking from my own point of view, yes, I survived my childhood, but no big sky daddy came and took me away from it all. And I survived by luck. I have absolutely no other explanation, because I'm not special, I'm no different from anybody else, but I know people who didn't survive. They're dead. Or they're on the streets, shooting up. Or they're in prison. Or they're permanently locked up in mental hospitals. But you know, you who are listening to this are just wonderful. You know, absolutely wonderful. It's totally astonishing that you're even here and that you're able to hear what I'm saying. And, you know, underneath all the shit, you are good. Underneath all the shit is this light that is just so immensely bright you can't even imagine it. But we've covered it up with fear. Fear that we've been taught. We fear our greatness. We really do. Do you know, I'm absolutely astonished that I live so well when you consider, you know, what's wrong with me physically. Yes, I have medication. Oh shit. Remind me, I have to, well, you're not going to be able to remind me, but I have to remember to take I haven't taken my drugs. So I need to do that before I sign off. I mean, before I go to sleep. Obviously, I'm not going to do it while I'm talking to you on the video. But, you know, I hurt all the time. I never stop. never relax. I can't, because it just... Oh, it's hard to describe, and I don't really want to go on about it because it begins to sound like self-pity, and that isn't really the point to this. All I'm trying to say is that how remarkable this is, that I can live with this pain and I can be happy. And I'm happy because I love myself. I like myself and I accept myself for who I am. I no longer believe the crap other people tell me. I now realise that the people who abused me because there was something wrong with them, not because there was something wrong with me. I now realise that my father was ashamed of me and hated me because of his own self, not because of who I was, but because of who he was. My mother the same. My two brothers the same. They treat me because of who they are, not because of who I am. Oh, and when I realised that, it was just such a freedom. And these Christian people that think I'm the devil's spawn and the cause of the rot of society, that's them, that's not me. All that's within them. It has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with me. And all of that enables me to live with the body I've got. I'd rather have another body. I'd much rather not have this, but I've got it. But the point I'm trying to make is that I live. I really live. I enjoy it. When I stop doing this, I'm going to have my headphones on and I'm going to enjoy music. I adore music. And with the headphones on, you can hear every instrument and every sigh and every breath, and you hear what the person's saying, and sometimes what they're saying just wrenches at your gut, or it fills your heart with joy, or it sends you completely somewhere else, and I'm able to leave my body then. And it's just wonderful to create music and to sing. I think, it's a gift that I envy, a gift that I really, really envy. I would love to be able to sing and write songs and write fantastic music. I'd have so much to say if I could do that, but I can't. Instead, I waffle on doing this. But I would never have dreamt in a million years that my life would be as good as it is today. And yours can be too. Because all that happened is in here. It all happened in here. I changed my mind. I dumped all the rubbish I'd been taught that was holding me back, that was enslaving me and making me anything but the free being that I am today. As free as I can be, of course. I'm still stuck in a human body, and a pretty fucked one at that. But I just wish that, because I know some of you who listen to me are also survivors, and I know that some of you are still stuck in that pain and shame and guilt, and I so wish I could wipe it away from you, but I can't. You have to do the work yourself. You really do. And I'll say again, it was them, not you. They abused you because of who they were, not because of who you are. And I know that no matter how many times you hear that, you can hear it 100 times, and then maybe on the 101st time you will actually hear it, and it will heal you. Because I can assure you it will heal you. 4 years ago is when the penny dropped. It was the most painful experience of my life. I thought letting go of that pain would kill me. I rolled around on the floor and I moaned and groaned and screamed like an animal in absolute agony, because I was. And I really believed that my gut would split open, or that my heart would stop, or that my mind would just explode. And it didn't. I survived it. And I gradually have become me. and I've become me more and more each day. You know, and I have different people in my life now. Other people have gone. People that would never have been in my life had I been well, had I thought well of myself. But those people helped me along my journey. They taught me a lot, mainly how not to be. But, you know, by continually adding brick by brick to my tomb, they inadvertently showed me the way out. So for that I'm grateful. Well, I don't think I expected to talk about like that at all. But I did, and I hope it makes some sense to you. Because, you know, whether I like you or not, I do love you. Meaning I wish the best there is for you. I wish peace for everybody. You may think it odd that I said, regardless of whether I like you or not. I'm a human being, and there are some people I just don't like. And there are people who don't like me. That's fine. But I don't wish any of you any harm, and I truly do wish you peace, for very selfish reasons, because if you're at peace, and if our neighbour's at peace, if everybody's at peace, then so am I. Think about it. Peace is not just an individual thing. It starts with one person, because the only person we can change is us. No one else. We cannot change anybody else. And some of us waste an awful lot of time trying to change other people. We can't. We can't at all. No. The only person we can change is ourselves. But, you know, when we all have peace, the pain will stop. So why would I wish you anything but peace? And whether I like you or not's neither here nor there. Love and like are two completely different things. And you can easily love people that you like, because that you don't like, I mean. Because love is an action, it's not a feeling. You may insist that it is, but it in fact is an emotional attachment. You're loving people when you hold a door open for somebody in a supermarket, or you smile at somebody, or you offer a helping hand in some way. That's love, that's action. You know, people who were abused by their parents, and other people say, oh, but they loved you really. They haven't got a bloody clue what they're talking about. Of course they didn't. Love is an action, it's not a feeling, and their actions were anything but love. So as I say, I may not like all of you, but I certainly wish you the best. Because by you having the best, it's best for me. Good night.